Welcome to our third session for week 2. Tonight we are going to go through the demo of doing your wireframe and a demo in Photoshop for your mockup. Let me share. We're going to start with the wireframe, of course. So let me share my new screen here. I'm going to close this out. Okay, when you open up your Muse, you're going to get a screen like this. And you will have options here, but because I had a website open, you can't see my options anymore. You can also go to File, New Site. And the little pop-up box is going to open. Max width, as I've already said once, I always start my screen size at 1280. 1280 is your average size that the users who have a wide frame monitor on their computers, which we know is very popular right now and come with most computers. So 1280 is for a widescreen desktop computer, and so I usually start all of my web designs at 1280, and then I do breakpoints at like 1074, 960, 768, 480, and 320, which covers all of the desktops, laptops, mini computers, tablets, and cell phones. Is there static in the sound, really? Still?
Yeah, it sounds a little crackly, but I mean, it's been that way since I think the first class.
I didn't know
that I've noticed it, but then you also, sometimes start sounding like a robot too. Like maybe your Wi-Fi or maybe my Wi-Fi is not, connecting well.
That could be. I'm looking at my sound now. Let's see if I have a setting that maybe I can adjust. It'll fix that. How is that? Is that better?
Oh, I mean, I can still hear a little crackling, but I mean, I've been hearing it since, I thought I'd been hearing it since the beginning, but I could be wrong.
Okay. How about this? Is that better?
Still hear it.
Still hear it? What about now?
I am. What about you, Katrina? Are you hearing it?
Are you still hearing it? It's better now, or it was better before? Now I sound really quiet. So now I sound better?
I think it sounds okay.
Okay. It could be very well much be the internet connection, because I'm coming to you guys from Texas. So we are bouncing through a lot of ports. Okay, anyway, I always start my site at 1280. The smallest size that I will accept for your web design is 1074. I know that most of you are designing on a laptop, so setting your settings at 1074 will give you a perfect size for your laptop screens. So if you want to start at 1074, you can. As a web designer, I always start mine at 1280 because you are also designing for desktop users. So keep that in mind. For this class, though, if you want to start it at 1074 so it fits your laptop perfectly, that's perfectly fine. I will accept that. I usually always default to a 12-column grid, simply because it's pretty easy with 12 columns to determine white space and things like that. If you only do 4 columns or 6 columns, it gets a little more complicated because you have really wide columns. 12 columns makes it a little smaller, so I always start at 12. Minimum width should be set to 320. Minimum height should be set to 800. Your margins, you can use the default at 20 pixels. If you need to change it, you can. It's completely up to you in your design. You also have this little drop down that will say whether you want to align your website in the center of the browser, or if you want it to the left of the browser. I always recommend doing center. That way you have an even amount of white space on the right and left if they enlarge their browser larger than your website width. Make sense? So let's say I have mine started at 1280, but if I expanded my web browser to the full width of my monitor, it's about 2280 in pixels. So my website at 1280 is going to appear in the middle of that browser, and there's going to be white space on the right, white space on the left. Instead of it looking off when they max with their browser and it's all aligned to the left, then you've got a whole bunch of white space on the right. So I always do mine to center in the browser window. That doesn't mean the content on your page is going to center. Just the web page itself will center within the browser window. Make sure sticky footer, it has a check mark behind it. And make sure it says fluid width at the top and not fixed width. You are creating a fluid width website because it has to be responsive. And then simply hit OK. It brings up the plan view automatically. You're going to add all of the pages from your sitemap in here. So I need a portfolio page. I need an about page. And I need a contact page. Those are my 3 pages. Now we're starting the wireframe first. So I'm going to open up my master page. We've discussed this. What elements have to be on every single page? What information goes in the header? Your logo? What other information do you usually find in the header area? Your buttons, your navigation bar. So logo and navigation are usually found in the header and they go on every single page. What else goes on every single page? What about the stuff in the footer? That's usually on every single page, correct? So your copyright statement has to be in your footer. So I'm going to start with my header. You see these blue guides at the top and at the bottom. This is the header in the footer area. On my header area, I usually set my header between 150 and 125, somewhere in there. I'm going to do, I think 125 for now. I think that will be quite large enough for the design I have in mind. In my footer area, I usually keep it at the default, sometimes a little smaller, sometimes bigger, depending what's in the footer area. But the default size for mine will be just fine. I'm just going to put a copyright statement down there and add my social media icons at the bottom. So we're going to start with our wireframe. For my design, my header is going to consist of a white background. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that out because my header actually has a drop shadow on it. So I'm going to draw my square across there. And I'm going to go ahead and fill it with a light shade of gray. Oops, a light shade of gray. And I'm going to turn down the opacity on it just a little bit, I think. Let's go to my fill color here. I want to make sure it's the lightest thing on the page because your wireframe should also show your hierarchy if possible. Yeah, Bill, go ahead. Hey there, Corley. Phil, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I thought I was unmuted. Can you set your header up like you add photos in InDesign to where it will fit in what you set up?
Say that again. I didn't understand.
Okay, like when you put a photo into InDesign,
Uh-huh.
you've got that box on the left there. It's got the X on it, like it does here on Muse.
Yeah.
Now, if you put that box like just the way you have your gray area there, can you insert a photo in there and have it fit that box?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I've tried that a couple times with mine, and for some reason, I'm going to have to redesign mine because I don't think I when I first did it, I don't think I set up any numbers or anything like that like you did. But I've tried to adjust the header so it wouldn't be so huge.
Yeah. Yeah, if your header is just going to be the plain white background, it's perfectly fine not to put a shape up there at all. You can just leave the white background. Mine, though, on the design I have in mind, mine is actually going to have a drop shadow on it. So I want to be sure and put the shape there so that my wireframe shows that there's a header there.
Okay, well, mine is a logo on like on a window of a building.
Right. My logo is going to, and
yeah, so
my logo is going to go right here in this top corner. My logo is a little not that shape though. I'm not using Splash Ideas here. I'm using mistyporch.com logo. So that means my header area does need to be a little bigger. I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger, and that's about the approximate shape of my logo. On your wireframe, all you have to do is use the shapes, squares, circles, that sort of thing, to show where you're going to put things. So if your logo is kind of round, you're going to use a circle. If it's square, more of a square shape, use a square. I'm going to use the square for mine, and I'm going to color it gray. Now, the next thing that goes in my header area is my navigation bar. Well, thanks to Muse and Adobe Smart Ideas, Muse has built-in menus. And I know I'm going to need a horizontal navigation bar. I'm going to go ahead and drag it out, and thankfully it's already gray, and I know that my navigation bar is going to go right up here at the top. Top right hand side is where I plan on having my navigation bar. So I'm going to put that there, and I think it's not quite long enough. I'm going to spread this out just a little bit more, like that. And this is going to be my header. Okay, Katrina, what's your question? Okay, I want to use the frame, but flip it 90 degrees and put it on the left side of every page. Yes, you can. I'm trying to remember what your logo looks like. Yes, I think you could do that. So you basically want it to go from your header area all the way to the footer area, or at least through the main content. I would stop it at the main content. So you're simply going to grab a square, and you're going to make that square where you're going to have your logo and color it gray. Like that. And that would show your logo on every single page for the wireframe. Just the word frame. Okay. So the logo is going to be in the header area. You're just going to have the name of your website. Go up the main column. Okay. And then you'll just draw a square there to show that something's going to be there. So now that I have my header area done, my copyright, my footer area is next. It again is going to have a square. Copy that. Oops. Try that again. Come on, take the color. And my eyedropper doesn't want to work. There it goes. And it's going to have a drop shadow on it as well, except for it's going to be the other way. Oh, will not let me go negative. Come on. Here we go.
I missed that. Where did you make the drop shadow? How did you do that again?
Once I do the square, you can click on Effects on the top menu bar and put a check mark next to Shadow. You can also bevel.
Got it. I got it. I just couldn't
apply
figure
an outer glow.
Okay.
Yeah, when we get into this next week, I'll show more with the effects. My wireframe is, I just know I'm going to have a drop shadow on my header and footer. So I wanted to make sure it was on my wireframe. So that's my master page. I've got both my, that still looks weird. Too much. I have both my wireframe and my header and my footer for my master page. That has to be on every single page. That is the only elements that I'm going to have that are exactly the same on every single page. So I'm going to close my master page. And look, it automatically places it on every single page. So I don't have to redo it every time. I only have to redo it once. So I'm going to go to my home page now, the layout of my home page. I'm going to take a rectangular frame tool because I'm going to have an image on my home page. And I'm going to make a new layer for it because I want it separated from the header and the footer. I'm going to have one large background image on my main content area. And I'm going to fill it with gray. There's my wireframe. Now then, I'm going to copy this, edit, copy, go back to my plan view. I'm going to have the exact same wireframe on my portfolio page. So I'm going to go to my layers, layer 2, edit, paste in place. So there's my portfolio page and my home page. Now my about page. It's going to have a bit of a different setup because it's the about page. I'm going to have some paragraph text and I'm going to have another image here, probably an image of me. It's a good idea to always add a personal touch, make that personal connection. Easiest way to do that is to put a picture of yourself on the page. So I'm going to add an image of myself there. And let's see, I'm going to have my text here, an image of me here. What else am I going to do on this page? We'll move this back up here. And I think I will put another graphic or some other image, something that speaks about me down here at the bottom. So I'm going to have two images there. And basically, I'll have a text box that runs something like this. Probably some heading text here. And then the information about me, a short bio. You don't have to show the text box on your wireframe. Okay, question, Phil?
Yeah, when you were talking about putting a photo of yourself there, which is what I had on what I originally set up, with one of my classes I had, they were talking about, it's better, even if you're doing a freelance business, it's better to make it sound like you have a company, that you've got more people working for you, because you can always find somebody to do what you can't do, to
Yes.
help out on a project. So instead of me, you should be doing we, us, and things like that.
Yes.
Would you still put a photo of yourself on this in the about me setup, to where you could say that you're the owner of the company or whatever, something like that?
Right. A lot of company websites, I do on their about page, and it will be about the company, like maybe their mission statement, things like that. Just information about the company itself. And usually there will either be on the same page, or off the about page, there will be a sub page that may say get to know us, or our employees, or something like that. And on that page, you get short bios with a picture of each employee. It just depends on the type of company it is and what kind of connection they truly want to make with their audience.
Okay, but would you, on the about page, would you actually put a photo of yourself on there?
Well, you have a company, so you want to talk on the about page, you want to talk about your company. You may talk about yourself a little bit. You're the owner of the company. So adding a picture
Okay.
of either the building, if you have one, or a group photo of your employees. It's always a good personal touch. But if you don't have anything like that, then find some sort of graphic to fill that page. You never just want text on a page.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you don't have a picture of the company or something that will actually fit there, do some sort of graphic that will match. You know what I'm saying? That says something about the company.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, so this is going to be my about page setup. That's done. My wireframe for my about page. And then I'm going to have my contact page. Now I'm going to have a form on my contact page. Again, Muse and Adobe are awesome. I'm simply going to go to Forms. I'm going to use a simple contact form. I'm going to drag it out here. And here is going to be my simple form. It's a little too small for my liking. I'm sure you guys have all noticed web forms have gotten much larger on the internet. I'm going to make this just a little bit wider by clicking and then clicking again on the piece that I want to lengthen or move around. And I'm going to make my form just a bit bigger there and pull it down because I'll have a heading at the top. So my little contact form is going to be right here, but I think I actually, oops. There's the click and click again problem. You accidentally click twice and you end up moving stuff around you don't want to. I am actually going to, I think I will pull this about halfway down. I'm going to have some other information on the contact page, and I'm going to use another one of the widgets. It is the panel widget, and I want an accordion widget over here. It's going to hold information like my phone number, my address, and my privacy policy. Your page, every website has to have a privacy policy. Now, you won't get listed in any search engine if your website does not have a privacy policy. So I'm going to put a little drop down for all of that information right here.
Excuse me. So, Misty, I see it has the lorem ipsum. So we have to go ahead and create it. Is there a general one around?
And when you pull out that widget, it already filled with the fill text?
No, I see. I'm saying for real, when we really have to do this privacy policy, where do we, is there a place to go to get one?
Oh, yes. I will give you plenty of links for a free privacy policy, and we will also go through how to write one.
I don't know if anybody else is experiencing it, but every time you speak, Misty, it feels like something you're wearing or something is happening is clicking up against it. It's a real scratchy sound on the mic. I don't know.
Is everybody else getting the scratchy sound too? It's static. Yeah, that's what I think it is too. And I think it's because my connection is having to travel so far. We tried to fix that. I'm going to lengthen this text box just a little more to even up the white space on my screen. Like that. And like that. Now then, what I will do is, this first box is going to be my phone number. It doesn't need to be quite that big. I will probably have my phone number, and I will place a Skype widget in here so they can call me on Skype. Second box was going to be my location. I'm going to give them a service area. I'm not going to actually put my address on the internet for everybody to see. I'm going to do something like servicing the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I will do a nice little Google map showing the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Just for an added touch. The last one will be my privacy policy. So this is going to be the basic setup of my contact page. Let's see, this needs to get bigger. Because I'm going to do some graphics down here. I may, for those of you that haven't looked at the widgets, there are a lot of social media widgets you can do in Muse that are already there. And they've got the Twitter tweet, the Twitter follow, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Google, Facebook. I will probably do a LinkedIn, and I will put those icons down here where they can tweet or do the LinkedIn. I will probably put my YouTube channel on my contact page. I may put that on my about page. It just depends. But there's quite a few things that you can do. You have the Facebook like, the Facebook follow, a place where you can do the Facebook comments on your page, and things like that. So I'm going to leave these areas. I'm going to mark them because I'm not quite sure yet exactly what I'm going to put down here. But there will be something, either a graphic or another widget, down in these two areas. Whoops. And so that will be the wireframe for my contact page. I close my contact page. Now everything is done. I'm all set. My portfolio page, however, is also going to hold a slideshow. I'm going to go into my widgets just so I can show it on my wireframe. And I think I'm just going to need a basic. Or do I want to do thumbnails? I think I'm going to want some thumbnails. So here is my basic widget. And it's going to go here. For, in my case, I want it to turn it just a tad. I don't think you can do that in here. So I may have to keep it straight. My thumbnails are not going to be like this, though. They're going to be like this. So this is the basic setup of my portfolio page. It's going to have a slideshow in it to show off my designs, and I'm going to have the thumbnails. So there's the basic wireframe of my entire website. Basically, the idea of your wireframes is you do not have to have any text. No images, no color. You're going to mark out where you're going to have images, slideshow, forms, anything like that. Graphics, you're going to mark out with a box, gray, black, whatever color you choose to use, to show me where you're going to have images on each page. That's what a wireframe is. Make sense?
I have a question.
Okay, Corley?
Thank you. I was considering, you know, in mine, in the sable line, that S thing, I just wanted to to make an S swoosh. Is it recommended to do, because Katrina was talking about that and it was really good, that it should go, I wanted to go on every page, but should I do it on the left, right underneath my logo? I was thinking on doing it on the right side, but I see you have the navigation bar there. What do you think is good?
Well, your navigation bar doesn't have to go on the right. You can move your navigation bar wherever you want it, just as long as you keep it in a place that users can easily find it. So if you wanted to bump your navigation bar, it won't even let me select it. Oh, I locked that layer. If you wanted to take your navigation bar and move it over to the right so that you had room here, you could. You can put that navigation bar anywhere you want. If you want your navigation bar at the very top and your logo and stuff underneath it, I could easily reset this up. So now navigation bar was at the center top of my screen and my logo directly underneath it. It doesn't necessarily matter as long as you've blocked everything out and you don't hide your navigation bar somewhere that it's going to be difficult for users to find. We went over that yesterday. Remember, if they have to look for it, they're not seeing on your site. So make sure they can find it. And for my layout, it just works best if I put the navigation in the top right.
And what about the link? Now, those look like buttons. What about the link navigation if you were going to put it in the footer? Is it that banner already on the bottom already considered that?
This is the footer. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying, is that what you were going to put in the footer? Or are you going to put link navigations, or what were you putting in the footer?
I'm glad you said that because I did forget to put my social media icons out here, but I think I'm going to use squares for those. But they're going to have rounded corners. So I'm going to have some social media icons down here.
And may I ask another question?
Uh-huh.
Also, I was thinking on the home page, I wanted to have maybe, I'm old school. My first thought was a PowerPoint, but anyway, maybe have some images come up on the home page too, where while you're looking at it, it's like streaming sort of, but the images.
Slideshow?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you can do that. Any of the widgets in your widgets library in Muse, you have options for slideshows.
Okay.
Lightbox slideshow, your full screen shot slideshow. You want to stay away. Full screen is a little hard to use. So if you plan on using that full screen, talk to me first. Or the lightbox, because what happens is, we'll go ahead and look at that real quick. If you use a lightbox, they're really cool because they have the black outline. You know, that always looks really nice. But here's what happens. This is what you see in your design view. If I click preview, like I was going to see it in a web browser, the only thing you will see on the screen until the user clicks on an image is the small thumbnails. Until they click on it. And then it lightboxes it. So it turns their background a darker color. And of course, you can set the color and that sort of thing using the little blue tool. We don't have to worry about that in your wireframe because it's supposed to be no color. But if you download one of the custom widgets that are free, you will be able to change the color of that background of your lightbox and that sort of thing.
No, I don't want it where you have to click on it. I want it's just that it's kind of
Just to
there.
be automatic. So you are probably going to use just a basic slideshow
Okay.
like this.
Mhm.
And using that little blue dot, you're going to tell it to play, autoplay.
Okay.
So that it automatically comes on and plays. And then you can set the transition speed. The time between photos is 0.5 seconds. So by the time when it fades one out and fades one in, it takes about half a second. It stays on that picture for 3.5 seconds. It will start over again once it reaches the last picture after 3 seconds.
Now, do you recommend something like that in your banner? I've seen that, or at least from what I can, it seems like it, that especially nonprofits and the social service industry, which is, you know, one of my industry.
You would have to customize this by clicking and double clicking to get into the pieces. Like if I was doing a banner slideshow, I would take off all the little buttons. It's just going to be an automatic banner, so I would just select them and delete them, and then resize the slideshow to be whatever size I need it to be. Oops.
Oh, okay.
Like
Wow.
that, so that it would fit the images that were going to be made for that banner, and it would encompass the part of the page that it needed to. This is the first 800 pixels, so absolutely my page is going to end up having to be longer. So as I put stuff on there, it will automatically grow. So if I was to take another box, and let's say I added a box here. And I could put it in here, and this page will grow as I need it to grow. And it looks like somehow or another that's at the footer. Yes, 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 there we go. So if I put a text box in here, this should automatic. Muse is not staying up with me the way it's supposed to. Oh, that's because I'm putting it on the master page. I'm sorry, that's what's wrong there. It's because I'm on the master page. Well, if I did that to another page, it would automatically grow. There it is on my home page. So if I took my slideshow that I have here, move it, you can see that page will automatically grow the length I need it to as I add stuff to it. So take that off because it should not be on my master page. And this is what master page, remember, is only 4 elements that are supposed to be on every single page. And on every page, I'm going to have a header, which has my navigation and my logo. And I'm going to have a footer, which is going to have my social media icons and eventually my copyright statement. And probably my phone number, but I may put my phone number right up here. Haven't quite decided that part yet. So now I have a wireframe. My home page, my portfolio page, my about page, and my contact page. Any more questions on the wireframe?
I do have a header question.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. As far, again, I'm sorry, I'm back to the same thing again with like adding a photo into like you do in InDesign. I've just tried to add my header in, but I need it to fit the area like you can on a box you set up on InDesign. Is there a button or something that you click on to have it fit into there?
Yes. File, there's my little picture box. I'm going to go to File, Place. And we have a rainbow.
Trust me, I know that feeling.
Apparently it rained in my computer today. Come on.
I was hoping to be able to upgrade my RAM on here before I started the class, but I didn't get a chance to. I keep getting that, as I call it, the swirling rainbow.
There, my car. Okay, so I'm going to place my car in this nice little box, and you can see it's attached to my cursor. I could technically put it anywhere. I'm going to scroll over this box I had just selected, and I'm going to click in the upper left corner, and you see it gets huge. And it's not inside that box where it should be. Let's try that again. Apparently I didn't click in the right spot. It's kind of tricky. There we go. Click it in the center will do it. And it'll automatically fit that box.
Okay, so you clicked it in the center.
Yes.
Okay.
If you roll over it with your cursor with the image attached, the lines around the box get darker. Once they get darker, you can click and it will automatically put that image in the center of the picture, in the center of that box.
Okay, I will play with that and see, because that was, like I said, I'm used to the, I'm used to the icons up at the top on InDesign. You just go click on the box and it automatically does that.
Right, this will automatically resize it for you. So if I resize this image, it will only do the parameter. So it won't scale this image any bigger unless I double click on it to get inside of it and scale it that way. But
Okay.
don't resize it as long as I use a corner so that it keeps the picture, the image proportionate.
Now, are you by chance holding down Shift and Option when you do that so it stays proportioned, or are you just doing it without clicking anything?
In Muse, it's automatic. In order to just scale one side, you have to hold down the Option key. So if I just want to scale the bottom, I have to hold down the Option key. Oops, is the Option key? Yes. Hello.
But if you go in the corner, you don't have to.
You have to hold down the Command key on a Mac, so it's a Control key on the Windows. Just to scale one side, you have to hold down the Command key or the Control key if you're on a Windows. Otherwise, if you scale, it automatically scales proportionate, which makes sense for web designers because you don't ever want your images to look skewed on the internet because it's really, really obvious.
Oh,
so
of course, yeah.
It scales proportionately for you.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one more question. For me on my, are you finished, Phil? I'm sorry. Is Phil finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, great. As regards to the portfolio, I have, I don't have as many pieces, so but I have a few pieces. So what is my question? How can I say it? You have it where you had one image and all the thumbnails on the side. Is that how it's going to look, or do we have to have all the images put out there, or when
you pull the widget out, it automatically comes with photos, and you will replace those next week with your own photos. So you can just go with the default photos that are in there right now. You may have more than what the widget shows, but once you import all of your stuff next week from Photoshop, it will fill this and replace the images that are there.
Very good, very good. So that is the basic structure, and then then we would fill in anything else. So if like you had 10, all the thumbnails would somehow show around the picture?
Yes, they'll all get put in a list right here.
Okay.
And if it won't hold all 10, you will get a little slider so that you could slide it in this box to show all 10 images. Make sense?
Yes, it does. I guess my concern is some of my images are print images and some are, or is it all considered the same once it gets in here?
Say that again.
Well, some of the things I'm going to show off is my, my logos, my brochures or collateral that I've made, and maybe some web banners the banners that I created. So it's all going to be, I guess, in the same format, or if I needed to have it like, this is the print one and this is the something else. Do I do that?
There's a little space underneath the slideshow right here where the skill text is, or you will be able to label each picture. Let's see, this is picture 1.
I think what she might be saying is that, you know, some of her designs are portrait and some of her designs are landscape. Will it automatically change to those sizes if I'm reading that right?
Well, but I like that question too. But no, what I was thinking is, should this be just one big picture for this type of stuff, and then on the other side, one big picture for and thumbnails for a different style? I think on mine, I have.
You could, if you wanted to. Let's say you didn't have more than 25 pieces that you plan on showing.
Right.
Then you could break it up on the portfolio page and do a section for this is logos, this is this.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Okay.
Slideshows.
Okay.
And put a header above each one.
Okay. That's what yes. All right. That's where I was going. Because I don't have enough to fill, you know, like its own page logo, its own page, at least right now. But I do have a few of, like 2 or 4 of logos and 3 of this and 2 of that, and I thought maybe it should be divided on the page. So you can do that, is what you're saying?
Yes.
On your slideshows. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, now she's got a question. I mean, she brought something up that I've got a question for. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I do want to do a slideshow on my home page. Going to be off to the side. I will be doing, both landscape and portrait in the slideshow. I wanted to do it automatically. I don't want to click on the side, but I am going to be doing images and design, like an image, then a design, then an image, then a design. Can I do that?
Yes. What you're going to do is when you pull the slideshow out, you're going to click the little blue button so you get the little drop down. And here it will ask you how you want the frame filled. This one it defaults to fill frame proportionately. Meaning if I have a picture that's odd shaped compared to my slideshow, it's going to cut some of it off. Or you could do fit content proportionally. So that if I had a skinny image that wasn't as wide as my slideshow box, it will fit it. And there will just be space on the side, white space basically, on the side of that image compared to the other ones. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
I try my best to, it's always going to look better if you make all of your images the same height and width. When you have to mock the stuff up, it's easier to do because you're mocking it up, and usually the background of that mock-up has stuff around it that you can crop out so that you can get your image the same, all of your images at basically the same size. But there are times that that's just not possible. So you can use those settings so that it still fits and looks right.
Now, I'm trying to remember back when I actually found this information out, and I don't know if these guys have had this or not, but there was a class that I took that on how to set up your images or your designs to a certain size that they will look exactly the same proportions when you're looking at them on a website.
Right. Well,
has something like that been taught yet, or is that in a future class for them?
We will be working on that. Proportionate wise, most slideshows, it depends on the slideshow. And way back when, you were kind of limited in slideshows. No longer are you limited. You can have a banner slideshow which stretches the length of your page, which means you need to make sure that when you make that slideshow in Muse, you can look at its properties and it'll tell you how big that image should be. If I click on this box, I can go to transform, And there it is, the width and the height. It tells me that the slideshow box is 480 pixels wide, 360 pixels high. So I'm going to make sure all of my images are probably just a touch bigger than this.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
400 high or something like that. And it's going to shrink them down to fit this because the proportions match. I'm still wider than I am higher. Makes sense? But if you need to know the exact ratio, once you've made the slideshow and you've scaled it to make it whatever size you want, you just make sure you select the picture image part that's on that slideshow and open the transform box. And jot down the width and height. Because when you mock up your website in Photoshop, you're going to resize your images to that size.
Okay, what I was talking about was like if you're setting up your designs and your images all as JPEGs, you bring them up in Photoshop and you go into export and you click on save it for web and adjust the sizes to where you're setting each image as the same size and resolutions. So when they are on the web, one, they're not going to be huge, that will take forever for it to come up. And two, they're all like kind of formatted the same size.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you do your mock-up, you're just going to make sure that the resolution on your mock-up is set to 72. So any image that you place onto that web page will automatically resize itself.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions about the wireframe? We ready to move on to Photoshop? Okay. I'm gonna make a folder, 241. And I'm gonna save my website in there. Okay, so now I can click. Okay, so now let's switch to Photoshop. And now we have Photoshop up. We're going to work on our mock-up. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit New. Something didn't work right there. Let's try File and New. Let's do it. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm going to choose Web. Looky there. Now, 1024 is here, but my 1280 is not. I wish Photoshop would make that a default size, but they have not yet. So I'm going to do 1280. In pixels, height, I'm going to set it 800. All but one of my pages is about 800 pixels high. One of my pages I will have to lengthen, but I'm going to start at 800. RGB color, resolution set at 72. Background is going to be white. There's some advanced options if you need them. Don't color manage square pixels. I want it to not color manage. I just want some nice RGB colors will be fine. Square pixels are fine. And I want it in landscape and not portrait. So I'm good to go. So I'm going to hit create. And there's my first layer. First thing I'm going to do is rename that first layer. And the rainbow icon again. Really? I'm going to rename it master. So what I'm going to do on this layer is going to be everything that's on my master layer. And I'm going to pull down my first guide. Let's see. I am in inches. So it's approximately, I would really like my ruler to be in pixels right now. So I'm going to go out to Photoshop CC at the top. If you're on an Apple, it's there. If you're on a Windows, you can go to, I believe it's under Edit. And it will say Photoshop Preferences somewhere at the bottom of that drop-down menu. But on an Apple, all you have to do is go up to where it says Photoshop CC. I'm going to change my preferences for the moment. And Tools, History, File Sharing, Export. Units and rulers. I want to change this to pixels. And hit OK. Yeah, I'm going to take this ruler guide, come down to about 150, about right there, because that's going to be my header. I'm going to pull another one down for my footer, and it's, if I remember, I think it's around 75 pixels high, so somewhere right around there. And I'm going to start building my master page items. I have the white rectangle that has to be there. Like that, white, no stroke. Oh, my little zoom drop down is in the way here. Let me move that over. And it needs a drop shadow. Three, 8, and 45. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to work on my header first. I need my logo, which is in my Creative Cloud account. And my Photoshop wants to be all goofified here. Come on. Okay, I know my logo is here somewhere. Maybe not in that library. Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. There it is. And there's my logo. So I'm going to pull it out to my artboard. Yes. If I have that selected, if I go to image and image size, it automatically converts that to 72. If I was to open up that image, it will be 300 DPI. But because I've set the file to say, and everything needs to be 72, it's going to automatically convert it to 72 DPI. And so now it needs to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to transform it, make it just a little bit smaller there. And I had 20 pixels of margins on each side, so somewhere about right there. This. I'm going to pull this over here, and doesn't look like my header area is quite big enough, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. This is where when you're doing your mock-up, you may have to make some small adjustments compared to what you did on your wireframe so that things look right. Making those adjustments is no big deal. Just make them and move on. So there's my logo. So next thing I have up here is supposed to be my navigation bar. I'm going to go ahead and type it out like my navigation bar is supposed to look. It's going to say home, portfolio, about, content, and it needs to be in black. And, whoops, not far enough. So I've got 10 spaces between each one. I'm going to up that a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to pull my navigation bar up here. That is not the right color. Oops. There we go. I want it the same color as my logo. And then I'm not going to set an active page. I'm going to leave it just like that. And in my footer, I have my social media icons, which are also in my library. So I'm going to have to open that up again. And I want the square ones. Where are you? Round, round, round. Round. Doesn't look like I have my social media square ones in this account. We can get them really fast though. I am going, let me share my full screen so that you guys can see this portion. Share my desktop here. And Katrina, you can add stuff to your CC libraries from, like, if you're in Photoshop or in Illustrator, depending on where your stuff is. You can select the logo or whatever you need to transfer. All you have to do is select it, open up your CC libraries box and grab it and drag it into the box. And you will see the screen change like mine. In my case, it says this layer is already linked. And in your case, it will say drop image here or add image or something like that. Once that screen changes, you can let go of your mouse and it'll automatically go into your CC libraries. But now I need to find some square social media icons instead of round ones. So I'm going to open up my Creative Cloud desktop account. I'm going to go to Assets. And here at the top, I'm going to go Social Media. And it's going to pull up some social media icons. So I need to find the ones I want. I want something specific, so I'm going to re-say this up here. Ray. I can't type today. It's not going to give me any grade. Let's see. Let's go icons. There we go. I would prefer to have some nice little square ones. So I'm going to have to search through here. I bet you I could have put square in the front of this. There we go. And there's my Twitter. If I roll over that Twitter icon, I can click this little icon that has the down arrow from the cloud. and choose what library I wanted in. I wanted in my social media library. There's the MySpace, the Blogger, the LinkedIn. I need that one. YouTube. I want that one. And Facebook. I want that one.
You don't want Pinterest?
I do have a Pinterest account. I'm just not very active on there. So I don't want to put it on my website because I'm not very active on there at the moment. I tend to forget all about it when I see something cool. Instead of pinning it, I forget about it. But yes, I like it very much and I have an account, but I'm not very active on it. And I'm going to put my Behance account in my social media. So there are the icons I need. I see Katrina has a LinkedIn one that she never used. I use my LinkedIn all the time. So now I have my icons. So in my library, I can set up my footer area. I'm going to, for this website, I'm going to definitely add the LinkedIn. And the Twitter. And what else do I want down there? I think I'm going to put my YouTube on my About page. And so I think I will put my Behance one in the footer. Oh, yes, I will probably do them alphabetical right now. I just want to resize them though. So I just want them all on my artboard for the moment. And Behance will be my first one. Let me close my libraries here. So I am going to scale it down to about the size I want and figure out what that is first. Too big still. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to click on it again and find out what size I made that. Come on. My mouse has gone nuts. I think the battery may be getting low. It tends to do that. Okay, so I'm going to jot down my width and height. I am here at 11.6 and 11.6. Okay, so I'm going to click on my LinkedIn next and scale it down. Maintain aspect ratio. I want to make sure that's on. 11.6. Hit my enter key. And there's my LinkedIn. And now for my Twitter. Maintain aspect ratio, 11.6. Yes, you would think some days are just better than others. Now, I want to make sure I get these spread out good. I think they're a little too close together there. So I'm going to grab my Behance icon and pull it over just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my rectangle. I'm going to draw a little square. And hold my shift key down and select all three of those layers and open my alignment tools. Windows. Oh, they're at the top of my screen now. I forget you can no longer open the panel. I want to distribute my spacing from left edge will work. There you go. And now I'm just going to grab them, move them over here, and deselect them. My footer needs to be just a little bit wider, a little bit higher there, like that. And I forgot to put my little square for my footer down here. So let's draw that real quick. White, no outline. Now this is where the fun part of Illustrator comes in. Drop shadow. I want it to actually uncheck global lighting. Need to move my guide just a little bit. Too much. About right there. Looks okay. And so there's my footer. Next, I need my copyright. So I'm going to do my little copyright symbol. Can anyone remember what the shortcut is on the Mac for the copyright? I do most of my web design on a Windows computer and not my Mac. It's in the glass, yes, you can find it there, but there's a shortcut too. It is Command-Shift-4. Yep, that's not it. Can't remember what it is. That's to take the image. Let's find out. Maybe. Okay. I thought it was clear. Ah, copyright symbol, Option G. Let's try that. Seriously? Come on. Option G. Option G. There he is. Okay, there's my copyright symbol, 2017. Oops, not 3017. I told you guys I can't type today. It's been like this all day long. And I'm going to put my name after it. My mouse just does whatever it wants to. And of course, that's too big. 24 point. I'm going to push it down to 12 point. It's definitely not important information, but it does need to be there. So I'm going to align it to my social media icons, which are still not quite aligned right. I think they're a little low. I'm going to move those up like that. And then grab this text box. There we go. Like that. So there's my master page, right? This is everything I'm having on every single page. So now I'm going to open my layers comp. Mine's already open here, but if yours isn't, you can go to Windows and simply go down to layer comps and it'll open the box. And I'm going to select new. And the first page I'm going to do is the home page, but I'm going to name this master because it needs to be on every single page. So I'm going to do visibility, position, appearance. Okay, there's my master page. And then I'm going to click on the top layer and make a folder and put everything inside that folder. And call it master. There's all my master items. Now we will go over this next week, but if you want to be one step ahead, I'm going to have to export this logo for Muse, or I can pull it out of my Creative Cloud in Muse. You can do it either way. I'm always in the habit of renaming my layers. So for that image, I'm just going to do logo, and it can be a PNG. There's nothing special about it. It doesn't necessarily, it's going to look just fine as a PNG. There's not going to be any difference in it and a JPG. And so I'm going to go ahead and name it logo.png. Why? Because when I export my assets from Photoshop, it will automatically export that image as a PNG. So even though it's a JPG, a smart object, technically a vector, an EPS, and when I pulled it into Photoshop, because I've renamed the layer and gave it a file, when I export, it will go by the layer name. So it will export my logo as a PNG. I don't have any other images on there besides my social media icons, and I will do them the same way.
Misty, could you slow down for a minute? I got the whole file making your folder. Could you go back with that? And what is the difference between layers and layer comps? I'm sorry.
Layers is what you're going to see in your layers panel. I will be showing you what the difference is in layer comps in a minute. Layer comps is kind of like doing artboards, except for you don't have multiple artboards. You're doing it on one artboard. But we will get to see me making a folder and doing the layer comps several times. So just hang out for a second. We'll be doing another one. So I'm going to rename my Twitter, twitter.png. And Behance. Come on. So now all of those are renamed as PNGs. So I'm done with my master page and I'm ready to start my home page. So I'm going to make a new layer and make sure my master comps is on. Everything's good there. And so now I need to put the image, and I need to pull this layer below it because my image isn't actually in the background. So I'm going to go to File, Place. You can do embedded or you can do linked. It doesn't matter which you choose. It will react the exact same way. Sorry guys, I had the rainbow again. Come on. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to find my first image. And there's my image. Now, it's not big enough because it doesn't cover my whole page, and my artboard doesn't seem to be big enough. First thing I'm going to do is Command T and scale this out by holding my Shift key down and making it as wide as I need it. Not wide enough over here. Right there. Like that. And then I'm going to grab my crop tool. Right there on the left-hand side. Come on, I want to crop this artboard. Make it bigger. No, no, no. Come on. Hold on, let me unmark everything here. Delete this. Crop. Why don't you crop? What do I have marked that shouldn't be? We're good there. Oh, wait a second. Nope, I have the move tool, not my artboard. This is different. Oh, maybe I'm just not going to the right space. There we go. That is different. So I need to make this a little bit longer. Still needs to be longer. Oh, that's better. Okay, guys, that's different. Must be something to do with some Photoshop update. Usually when I click on my crop tool, it automatically gives me a bounding box. It didn't. It was there, I just couldn't see it apparently. But as you can see, I have a small problem. My footer is no longer in the right place. So I'm gonna go back to my master pages and basically select everything except for my logo and my navigation bar. That's all of this. Yes. Oh, nope, selected more than I needed to. Come on. That and that. I don't want to update. It's because I have it in a folder. So I'm gonna have to fix that. There to there. I'm gonna drag this out of my folder for a second and pull it down where I need it. It's right here. I didn't get my square. Oops, right there. Got my square, pull it back down here, line it up. There we go. And then pull my master pages back down where they belong. Turn back on my main content and resize again. It needs to be about right. About right there. There we go. Come on, where are you?
So, Misty, you keep changing or increasing the page.
It's my computer. I'm just trying to get it back to working properly instead of being nuts. I changed my mouse, so I'm hoping that will fix it.
Well, your voice sounds better. That's good.
Does my voice sound better?
Yeah, it's not as much static and hitting things that sound.
Good. Okay, so my footer decided to move itself, so I couldn't find it. It was my mouse selecting things that it shouldn't have been. So now I think we're back right. Let's turn this on. Yes, that looks better. So I'm going to move my footer information back to my master folder where it's supposed to be. It just started moving stuff around for no reason. Okay, so now we have my basic setup for, I'm gonna pull this below my master page needs to be on top because it holds, come on. There we go. because it holds a lot of information. Oops. Wrong move. Because my header is going to be on top of everything. Because it has a nice little drop shadow. So if I was to get rid of my guideline up there now, you can see the drop shadow. So this is the basic layout of my home page. I need to go back in now and add text. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Because I'm going to have an interactive home page. If they roll over the cell phone, they're going to see contact me. So if they click on the cell phone, it's going to automatically take them to my contact page. So I want to go with a nice little script on this page. For now, I have a special web font that I'm going to use, but in Photoshop, I'm just going to use a regular font. And I'm going to change it to white. And it's just going to say contact me. I still can't type. That doesn't seem to fix that problem. And of course, I need to make a few adjustments here to my type.
I'm sure it's just the keyboard. It's not you.
No, it's me. I've been doing it all day long, and I've been at work too, and that keyboard didn't work either.
Well, I tried.
I'm just having one of those days. I just can't type today.
Misty, she was trying to give you an out. Come on.
So now on my home page, if they roll over, my cell phone is going to say contact me. It'll be black until they roll over it. I'm going to go ahead and show that in my mock-up that it says contact me there. And if they click on the cell phone, it's going to automatically take them to my contact page. And I am going to I'm going to grab a square. I'm going to fill it with a light gray color. I'm going to do a small slideshow on my monitor, I think. I may just do an image. I may put an image there. That sounds better. So let's go to place again. Please tell me I have some of my work on this computer. I know I have some in here. Nope, not the one I want. That is not it. Yes, I have some stuff on here. So I'm going to pick one of my pieces. Let's see, what do I want to put on there? This one? This one? I think we'll put this one on there. I'm going to scale this down, of course, and pull it up to this monitor. And I'm going to have to mask this because the white doesn't match. So I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit. Select color range. Oops. Select. Inverse. Mask. There we go. That's better. And so now when they scroll over this, this is already going to be there, but if they scroll over it, I'm going to have another little pop-up that will say portfolio. Black. Portfolio. Matter of fact, I think instead of having a logo there, I may just have it pop up to where it says portfolio. I'm going to make it bigger, of course.
Did we have that conversation yesterday about script or cursive writing? So we're using that for you?
No, I'm not. I'm using a font that, do I have an example? I have a special web font that it looks like a script font, but it's really easy to read, but I don't have access to it in Photoshop because it is strictly a web font. So I've just picked something that will remind me that, hey, this is the kind of font you're using. And most likely the contact me is the only one going to be in that font. So I will pick something else for like portfolio. I will probably download a more of a decorative font.
And how many fonts? Because, you know, in print, 3 is the maximum. On your page, oh, that's cool. Except it's spelled wrong. I'm missing an O or something.
There's a lot of stuff there. Portfolio, come on.
That's Italian spelling.
Portfolio.
And it won't.
Oh,
good accent.
Look, I have more than one O. I have a few. So when you roll over, they roll over the monitor, it'll pop up and say portfolio. Click on it, it'll take them to the portfolio page. Oops, come on, undo.
You know, the one thing I was thinking, because when you had the other setup on there, it's like, you know, this is going to be kind of a, you know, a kind of a treasure hunt find. Oh, gee, look what this did. If I click on it, let's see what happens. But
Right.
you don't want people to really do that. You want them to make it easier, wouldn't you?
Right. Right. And so down here, I'm gonna have about me.
So actually, you could have it to where it's either if they click on the monitor or if they click on the words at the top, they can get to it.
Yes, they will either be able to use the navigation bar at the top or they can play with my screen. And I add interactivity to it. And I'm going to pick a different font for that one too. So something like that. And I will probably add some other stuff if I was doing this with all of my work. My monitor would say portfolio. Over here on the tablet, I would probably do something like, let's see what would be good to look at on the tablet. Maybe I would have it say print design. On the Wacom, I may have it say illustration. On my color book, print design again, and maybe changing the tablet to animation. That sort of thing. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple for this and just do the contact portfolio about me. Those are my pages. That's what I have. I haven't broken it up into any sub pages.
So we're still on the home page and there's no script at all. I mean, there's no content at all. No, is that what we're saying?
No what?
Content, like it doesn't say, hey, this is,
Sure
there's
doesn't. Will it? Up here on the home page, since I have all this white space up here, on the home page, I will probably say, welcome to my website. Or I may have a message up here that says, that lets them know that, they can play with my desktop. Most users know when you come onto a page, it's just one big picture that you can usually roll over and something happens. So this is not anything so far outside the box that users aren't going to be able to know what to do because they've seen it before. It's not anything new per se. But I may have a little bit of information that says something like maybe have fun exploring my site. That's it for my homepage. Now, if I was doing this for my Splash Ideas, my company, my homepage definitely isn't going to look like this. Because on my homepage, on my Splash Ideas, it lists the services, print design, web design, and animation. Actually, what does it say on my Splash Ideas site? It says print design, vinyl banners and graphics, and web design. And so on my homepage on my company, there's a lot more information. There's a lot of text on that homepage and a lot of pictures and that sort of thing. But for my personal portfolio website, I don't really have a lot I need to say there because my About Me page is going to say everything about me. So I'm going to give them something fun to play with and interesting to look at. Does that make sense? Now, currently, my web page has information on it. And it says print design, vinyl graphics, responsive web design. These categories right here are actually from the company, my company, Splash Ideas. But for the moment, the last class that I taught, DS241 designed this site, and they chose to put all this information on my homepage. I'm changing it up because everybody copied this layout in that class, and we're not going to do that. So I've changed it, and I'm just going to do something that's a little more creative and a little more interactive for my customers.
I have another question. Since I'm going to be presenting this as the company Sable Line, then I should have a little bit, I should have more verbiage and content. Is that correct? Or am I supposed to do it more personal like this?
You have a company name, right?
Yes.
Then you want to do it more business-like.
Okay.
Now for my Splash Ideas company, it's more business oriented, kind of like my website is right now. But because I have a business and I also have a personal portfolio website, I'm going to do the portfolio website all about me. Does that make sense? If you're a freelancer, you may want to kind of go this direction. If you're just using you and it's just going to be your portfolio website and it's not representing your company, you can do more of a personal touch. With a company website, you want to definitely make it more professional because it's a company. Yes, you can add little aspects of yourself in it and the company's personality, so to speak, but it doesn't have to be what I'm doing here. This is in no way what I'm saying you guys need to do. This is simply what I'm going to do to my website. You need to come up with your own creative idea. Make sense?
Yep. Hey, Missy, I don't know if you read what I typed, but I was coming up with an idea that maybe have your mouse turn into a surfboard.
Top left.
like right at the top, have fun surfing my image, and then the surfboard goes across your image and finds the different things.
Well, Katrina, when I first started out, I didn't have splash ideas. It was just me, and I was freelancing. Splash ideas came because I had so many customers that it was only logical to actually start a business name and put it under a business heading versus just keeping it as a freelance. So I developed a company name. But we actually do large format printing for banners and things like that. We do a lot of promotional stuff. Hats, t-shirts, and a lot of that stuff we can do in-house. I have employees now, so they do screen printing and that sort of thing. So you started the business as, so you want to mix it, Katrina, and at some point you may have to break it up. When you get to the point where the business is big enough that you have to hire another employee, well, then it becomes just a business website. And you're going to need to make your own personal website for your portfolio. Does that make sense? That's when I broke mine up and invented a business name, was because when I needed to hire employees and decided to start doing some stuff in-house as far as printing goes, I had to come up with a company name because I had employees, so the site couldn't just say Misty Forbes. So I came up with a business name and separated the two. On my Splash Idea site, my portfolio website is linked to that site, so that from that site, they can get to my professional portfolio versus the company portfolio. We do put some stuff on the website that's just company stuff, but it's just a few things here and there, usually new car wraps and things like that that have been done. So my portfolio website is where they can really go to see the graphic design work and things like that. It's up to you, Katrina. I mean, you can keep it the business name and put a little bit of you in that business in there, since it's just you, because the business is just you right now, right? So you could do it from that aspect, just kind of combine the two. You still want to keep it kind of professional, but it doesn't mean it can't be necessarily creative like mine. You can make it as creative as you want and still use the business name. But once you expand and get bigger and things like that, then you're going to want to separate the two. So there is my homepage. So once again, I'm going to close this master page up. And all of this belongs in a folder. So I've selected those layers. I'm going to click the folder icon, and it automatically puts those layers into the folder. I'm going to rename it Home. And go to my layer comps and click the little new layer icon and call it Home. Make sure visibility, position, appearance is checked. This is what shows up on my home page. But if I click on Master, it takes all of that away and my master page is back. It's blank. But if I click on the home, my home page shows. Every page I do will do the exact same thing. So now I'm ready for my next page. I'm going to turn my home page off. I don't need it on. It doesn't belong on the next page. And my next page is the start of my portfolio page. And that has an image in the background as well. It goes here and here. Like that. And it moved it to the top again. Pull it back down here where it belongs. Really? Okay. And so here is my portfolio page. Command T. It's just a little bit bigger. There we go. Looks like coffee to me. Yummy, yummy. Okay, so I have my portfolio page. I'm going to have a slideshow on this page. And it's going to be right there in the center, of course. I'm going to turn that gray. And I'm simply going to move the box and put it where I want it. Like that. You do not have to go ahead and fill out your slideshow. You can simply draw me a colored box of where that slideshow is going to be instead of having to try and mock up the slideshow in Photoshop. Since you're using a widget, it will automatically fill it in for you. So you don't have to do that in Photoshop. You will have to open those images before next week and set them to 72 DPI in order to make them web ready. But you do not have to bring them into your mockup and try to create a slideshow out of them. You can just draw me a box where the slideshow is going to be. So that is the portfolio page. So once again, I'm going to select those two layers that belong to the portfolio page, click my folder icon, and rename that folder Portfolio.
You can do your images or your designs up to 150 DPI, right?
Yes. If you have images that are busy or have a lot of texture in the background and you need to make them a little sharper, you can go up to 150. But as many images as you can, make 72 DPI because that is the smallest file size and it'll make your overall file size smaller.
Well,
So,
the reason I'm saying 150 is because of the thoughts of having the viewer be able to click on it to make it larger for them to view.
right.
And you want it to look a better resolution. So that was my thinking of setting them at 150.
Well, what happens is when you're doing a slideshow that does that, what you want to do is write down the measurements of the largest image. So meaning if you click on it, the image gets bigger, you want to click on that box, jot down the margins, jot down the width and height of that image, the large image, because that's what size the image should be.
Okay.
Because it can be shrunk down a lot easier than it can be scaled to be bigger. So you want to start it out big and let it scale down to be smaller.
Okay.
I really think it's my Photoshop that's doing this. Okay, so there is my portfolio page. So once again, I'm going to go to my layers comps, click the new layer, and call it portfolio. And now I have a portfolio page and a home page. And if I click on the portfolio page, it switches. I click on the home page, it goes back to my home page. And everything that I put on that home page and the main content is there. Or if I click on the master page, you see just the master pages. Isn't it? That's really, really handy. And while the artboards are a great addition to Photoshop, with web design, the problem is that you have to go from one artboard to the next, and you have to make sure everything is even in the exact same location. But if you use layer comps, it automatically keeps things in their position, like your headers and your footers. And they don't get moved around. And you can just click from page to page to see what you've done. So then you would do the mock-up for your about page and your contact page the same way. So up next would be my contact page. I'm going to turn off my portfolio page. And then I would start my contact page. Now, again, you do not have to draw the form out for me. You can do a simple box of where you're going to have your contact form. I have my contact form here. Is this my contact? Oh, I should be doing my about page. So this is going to be a picture of me. Let's delete that. File. Place. So I'm going to do a picture of me here. And then I had text over here. So I am going to take my type tool. And first I'm going to make a heading.
By the way, that's a great picture of you.
Thank you. I'm going to do an all about me section, and then I'm going to add some field text in here, which will be, I'm going to actually put my bio in here. But right now it needs to be field text. And I wish Photoshop would do an update where it did the exact same thing that Illustrator is now doing. Have any of you guys noticed? In Illustrator, if you click on web and you created an artboard that's under the web section and you use the type tool, it'll automatically fill with fill text. It's awesome. And I really wish Photoshop would update so theirs is the same way, because as of now you can paste and it'll paste text in here for you. And that is a new addition, but it doesn't do it automatically like Illustrator is now doing it. Come on. 14. And it should be left aligned. And there should be more of it. Let's go back up to type and paste. So there is my about page. And I need something to fill in this little white space down here, but I think, if I remember right, I have some graphics in my library I can use there.
No, you were going to put a YouTube video there.
Yes, I thought that, oh yes, that's where I was going to do the widget for the YouTube videos. That's right. Thank you, Corley. So I'm just going to draw a little square to indicate there is going to be a Muse widget there. Turn it gray. What do you think?
Looking good, but the left margin seems very small.
Well, I am not zoomed in at 100%. So if I zoom in, it's really not small.
Okay.
It's 14 point. I can play with the width of that text when I get it into Muse. I'm not going to be looking really closely at your text on your mockup, because you will be able to change that and fix it so that it looks correct in Muse, because you're going to be using web safe font in Muse and not your standard fonts. So the font you pick in Photoshop may very well be different from the font you use in Muse, because you are required to use web-safe font in Muse.
Okay, I do like it justified better. I like it as opposed to unjustified. But I'm gonna have to say goodbye.
That's okay.
Bye-bye.
See, with the field text, I like it better justified, because I think all of that left align looks a little crazy for me. But when I get my bio on there, I may have a different feeling, and I may like it better left align versus having it justified. We'll see when I get there. For now,
I do like the way that looks, because when you have it the other way, it's so jagged.
yeah, it was just too jagged right there. When it's actually my actual bio instead of field text, it may look different. So we'll see, but most likely it'll be justified. So I have my little YouTube widget that's going to be down here, and my image, and that's it from my about page. So once again, I am going to select all of those layers and hit my folder icon, move that folder to the bottom of the group where it's supposed to be, and it doesn't move. I swear my mouse hates me. Oops, that's not where you were meant to go. There we go. Okay. And this is my about page. So rename that folder about, open my layers comp, make a new layer, call it about. And so now I have my about, portfolio, and home, and of course my master. So there's that portion. So I can turn that off, new layer. And this is my contact page. And
So is this all new with 2017, or has that been there for a while like this?
And the layers comps have been here forever. Most people don't know how to use them, but it is included with the 2017. And
never knew about it.
Yeah, it's something I had to learn on my own. I have a friend that does a lot of web design, and he's actually the one that introduced it to me, but he just said, well, why aren't you using layer comps? Didn't exactly explain what that was, but I'm the type of person, you know, when I hear something like that, I have to know what it is. And so I had to do some Googling and some reading on Adobe to figure it out. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it so much easier.
Yes, because used to, you didn't even have artboards in Photoshop. You had one artboard. You could not have multiple artboards. So that meant when I was on a website, I had multiple files, because I had to do one on each file, one page on each file. Now there's the layer comps. Woohoo, I love it. Okay, so on my contact form, I had my form box at the top. I think it was more than that size. And I'm actually going to copy that, because I had they're both too big. Looky there. And it's my Photoshop doing this. Woohoo! Stop that. And scale these down just a little bit so they will.
Your system's really going freaky on you.
Yeah. And this was my accordion box, so it actually gets bigger. So I'm just going to go ahead and show it bigger. And open up my libraries one more time, because I have what do I want to put there? I'm going to put a graphic on this page. I think I'll just use the graphic design graphic. It's going to scale it down. And I'm going to put it right under my contact form. Like that. And so there is the mock-up of my contact page. So anywhere that you're going to use widgets, guys, you can just draw a simple gray box. You do not have to recreate that widget. If it's on your contact page, I'm going to be able to figure out what it is. One of those boxes is a contact form, and the other is probably some sort of panel or maybe another slideshow, something like that. I'm going to get the general idea. Any graphics or images that you are using on your website other than in a slideshow need to be on your mockup. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, then, guys, that is the end of our demo. I need to put this in a folder. And we'll do contact. Open my layers comp. Make a new one, call it contact. Now the exciting part and the other best thing about layers comps. I have them all done. They're all completed. I'm gonna go back through and check everything. Yeah, everything still looks good. I'm gonna go to File, Save As, and save it. As my mockup. It's saved. And then I'm gonna go to File. I'm gonna go to Export. And I'm gonna go to Layer Comps to PDF. I'm gonna click it. It's gonna pull up this little box. I hit Browse, make sure it's saving it where I want it to. Untitled, I'm gonna call it Mockup. And select Layer Comp, selected Layer Comps only, make sure that's unchecked. In advance, every 5 seconds is fine if it's when it's showing you your slideshow. And hit Run. Your Photoshop's gonna blink, do all kinds of weird stuff. Pictures are gonna look blurry. It's okay, just let it run through its thing. And it will tell you layer comps to PDF was successful. I'm gonna hit OK. Go into my Finder. Go to my desktop, find my folder, and right there's the PDF it made. Open that up. Come on. There it is. No. No. I can see all 5 of my pages. There's my home page. There's my portfolio page, and they aren't quite my PDF is being screwy again. And there's my contact page. And that is how you can do the mock-up and export it to turn it in really fast. You turn it in as a PDF. If you export layer comps to PDF, it will automatically create them.
Now it's showing up that big on a page, looking like it's in the middle of an 8x10. Are you going to be able to put that in as a mock-up and not have the extra white?
What do you mean?
Well, when you were showing it in the PDF form, like say that you're gonna take that and put it on a Muse page for a mock-up.
No, this is just how you will turn in this part of the assignment this week. Next week when we get ready.
Okay, I gotcha.
Next week when we get ready to change all of this over to Muse, let's see, I need to rename this real quick. Next week when we get ready to change this over to Muse, you would go to File and go to Generate, and you would choose Image Assets. And then if I open up my Finder, it makes an image assets box that has every single one of the images I gave a name to.
Okay.
That's why you have to name everything.
Okay.
Any other questions? Layer comps is really easy, and it will save you a whole lot of time, especially in web design.
I will definitely be going over the video again to follow it step by step.
Phil, this may even, I use it when I'm doing photo retouching, or if I'm doing photo manipulation, I use my layer comps too. Because I may get to a point where I say, this looks really good, but, so instead of going back and having to do undo if I don't like whatever I'm fixing to do, I'll open my layer comps, make a layer, and name it, you know, first time, or first step, or whatever, and then move on to the next thing I'm going to do. So if I don't like it, I can always go back to step one, and it'll have everything that I did before. Make sense?
Yeah, see, I usually do it as a PSD. You know, I'll save the PSD, and then I'll say, you know, I'll put it all together and save it as a JPEG.
Right.
But you don't always get to go back into the PSD and correct things. You know, there's been times I've gone in there that I couldn't do anything with it because it wasn't in the layers that, you know, the PSD, I expected the PSD to be.
Right. So in your photography stuff, that layer comps may come in handy for you too.
Well, I'm definitely going to get to know that because it seems like a very friendly, well, not friendly, but very useful tool.
Yes, it is. Okay, guys. Well, I guess we'll call it a night. I will be around in the evenings all week, and of course I'll be around this weekend, so if you need me, email me, text message me, and we will open up my Zoom room and I will help you out. Okay?
See you tomorrow.
All right, Phil, see you later.